Hey everyone, we're Chris and Sandy with the Customized Ride, where we spotlight builders, dreamers, and enthusiasts who keep the custom world car world going. And today we got a great show for you. Who do we have?
We have Ken Gilmore with us today. He is the Executive Director of the Hornets Nest Region AACA and the man behind the legendary Charlotte AutoFair. With a passion for classic cars and years of experience in operations, he's helping shape one of the Southeast's biggest automotive events.
And we're excited to have him here. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be on.
And your comment here about technical difficulties, yeah, we had a few.
Yeah, hopefully cleared up now.
2 computers later, we're finally on.
That's the one bad thing about doing any type of show like this that's virtual. Yeah, and I always I'm always a nervous wreck, whether it's a little guest, a big guest, don't matter, because I'm always thinking, okay, hopefully everybody's tech works right.
Yes, something you can't always control.
Because you can't always control that.
For sure. But anyway, we're here now.
Yep.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about the Charlotte Auto Fair that's coming up soon.
Oh my gracious. We are so excited. There's been a lot of energy in the office. Actually, it has been a crazy hectic day. The phone's been ringing off the hook. Actually, we've made a lot of changes this year.
Oh, wow.
I'm new as of last year. So our old executive director, Mel Carson, he and his wife were here for 49 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So finally took a well-deserved retirement.
Yes.
So Mel's still around, but he's not having to worry about all this stuff right now. So
he's probably happy.
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm still waiting to hear whether or not he's going to show up and volunteer to help us out, but that's to be determined.
Okay. Yeah.
But no, the phone's been ringing off the hook. We have, gosh, I just ran the report earlier. There's almost 500 spaces, completely sold out blue field of what we got back. Green field has 13, almost 1,400 spaces rented. Orange field, 1,400 spaces.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
500 spaces, and just over 200 already in the car corral. So it's shaping up to be a significant show. We've put a lot of energy and a lot of investment. The Speedway's put a lot of investment in this spring show being big. And I tell you, the way we're kind of looking at it is we're make auto fair awesome again. That's kind of a mantra.
I love that.
Oh, we love that. That's
and
awesome.
we want to get back to that, 2014, 2015, the good old days where shows were packed and it was having a good time. Like, let's get back to those days. That's what we're trying to do.
So how many cars total do you think will be there, approximately?
Oh my goodness, I have absolutely no idea. That's a great question. The Speedway handles the car clubs. Okay. So all along, when you come into the Speedway, just kind of set the stage for some that maybe haven't come before. The Speedway encompasses about 140 acres total. So it's a very, very large campus.
Mm-hmm.
2 fields on the outside, what I'm going to call the backside of the Speedway along I-600. That is the red field and the green field.
Okay.
Those fields. There's also going to be areas where we're going to have some spectator parking. I'll come back to that in a second. Inside the Speedway, we have around the track, obviously the track surface. The backside of the track is what we call the car corral.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, those are cars that are for sale.
Okay.
Now, not always, but you can rent the space there. You can park there, come in for all 3 days. Some people even have a porta-john put on it. That's kind of like their base operation,
Mm-hmm.
The other side of the track, so we're talking about the pit road and start-finish line, that whole section there. The Speedway invites different car clubs from the area to show their cars, and they do a car show in that region of the track. Now, infield the track, there are 3 distinctive areas. There's kind of the manufacturer's midway and the garage section there. Those tend to be larger groups, entertainers, influencers, like Toy Makers is going to be there. They've got some NHRA drag race champions, some folks signing autographs. Speedway handles all that. Radwood is coming. The Elvis group is coming. So we actually have now let me make sure I say this right. Elvis, the current reigning Elvis Presley tribute artist.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's fun.
Apparently is a very, very prestigious award to be given. So there's a competition throughout the year, and one person selected to have that honor. So
Oh,
at
wow.
at AutoFair this year, actually part of the entertainment events will be artists that are competing for that title for 2020.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
So if you come further inside infield, we have two fields, blue field and orange field. Orange field is the largest of the two. Blue field, many people will recognize as we lost that. I'm thinking 2022 region. The Speedway made some changes. They attempted to do some things. The road course was put in, and this year we've been working really hard to renegotiate and get some of that back. So we got
Yeah.
just 500 spaces back in the blue field. As you come in, it's the nice flat paved area going in, like it's the prime real estate. We got all that really nice prime real estate back. So we're super excited about that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Now there are two other areas. So if we go back outside of the actual speedway itself, at the front they traditionally call the fan zone. It's a large triangular parking lot.
Yeah.
Well, that we have our Southeast Spring National. So that's where the AACA car show will be, and those are cars that have been entered, and they're being judged and graded. So they're trying to get a score on their card and will be awarded as such. They can get a junior award, senior award. There's different criteria there to get. So they're trying to get recognized as a complete and accurate automobile, as it would be either from the factory or from the dealership this time period. Correct.
Oh, wow.
And new for this year, as if we don't need more, across at the new 10/10th track, Speedway is hosting they're calling it the Heritage Invitational. So this is like a Amelia Island Concours level event. I mean, very, very high end, very prestigious, huge name automobiles. Should be really exciting. So a lot going on.
And you could have a rat rod section too.
And a rat rod section. And we got a huge Jeep section coming. It's going to be pretty awesome. So your original question is how many cars? I have absolutely no idea. I can tell you there's over 4,000 spaces rented in our section. And the car clubs, the Speedway's telling me it's a record number of car clubs.
Oh, wow. So it's going to be big is what you're saying.
Very big.
It's shaping up to be big.
Yeah.
I actually got a call from the Speedway about 3 weeks ago and said, hey, have y'all recently done something different? I said, we've got to be more specific. We've done a whole lot of things different. And he said, we have gotten a ton of calls here recently for ticket pre-sales, like more than we've ever gotten.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really good sign. So let's back up a little bit. Since you're new to doing this, how did that transition happen from corporate world to doing this? And what led to this of you running the show?
That is a really, really long story, and I'll shorten as much as I can. I used to work for a company called Worth, W-U-R-T-H, Worth Wood Group. And if you're deep in the automotive industry, you might recognize that name. They are heavily involved in the automotive industry. Now, I was in the wood industry, but I've always been a car guy. I'm a wood guy at heart. I got sawdust in my veins. Had a very wonderful career. I was very, very blessed. And in 2019 was able to say, I don't have to do this anymore. So I'd like to stay home and be with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After years of traveling, was international, saw some amazing things and met some amazing people. It was time to hang that up and go do something else. So it was a lot of fun. I made a lot of contacts, and ironically, a lot of the contacts I made were in the automotive industry. I did some consulting for that division and worked with those guys. So after about 2 months of sitting on the couch playing video games, my wife said, "You got to go do something." Started a cabinet shop, custom woodworking shop, did a few things, a couple other small businesses. I actually own a spray chrome operation. Bought out a guy that was in South Carolina, pretty neat, and started refurbishing automobiles, my personal collection on the side. So I'd buy something that needed some work, and do the rust repair, the body work, tinker with the engine, you know, learn how to paint, taught myself how to paint, and
wow.
then drive it for a little while, flip it. Had a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And I've been a member of the Hornets Nest, really, I guess since 2019, maybe 18. And the whole reason I joined the club was so that I could volunteer at AutoFair. I love going to AutoFair. I would go with my dad every year. There was one year we didn't get a scooter. They ran out of scooters, so we rented a wheelchair for him. So I pushed him around all AutoFair in a manual wheelchair.
Wow.
We had a good time. That's something we always look forward to. So I inquired one day, said, "Hey, how can I volunteer? How can I work here? You know, I'd love to help out." And they said, "Well, because of insurance reasons, you have to join the club." So,
Okay. Yeah.
so I joined the club. Fast forward, they asked me to serve on the board, which I thought was ridiculous since there was so many people with so much more experience and had come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they said we would really be interested in having you on the board. So I ran and did not get elected. And that's fine. I'm not looking for something else to do, so that's okay. The next year came around and they asked me to run again. I said, I mean, if you need me, I'll be glad to run. But again, I'm not looking for something to do. I ran and won and got on the board. So I just started on the board. I was the secretary at the time. That's what the logo on the totem pole gets, right? Secretary.
Yes.
And it was probably my third or fourth board meeting that Mel announced his retirement.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
The board, you can imagine when you have an executive director that's been doing the thing for 49 years.
That's a long time.
There's a long time. There's a lot of information in his head that isn't necessarily in other people's heads. So how do we continue? How do we move past this? How do we, keep this thing going? And Mel looked at me at the end of the meeting and said, "I would like for you to take over as executive director." Of which I looked at him and told him absolutely not. But you know how those conversations go. So after about a 3-hour conversation one day, I said, I will, if that's what everyone wants, then I'll be glad to step in and take that on. Cause I love the show. I come from the perspective of AutoFair. So it is literally the thing that I look forward to, every year.
Makes
So
sense.
I want to see it succeed. I want to see it grow. And I tell you what, we have so much fun here in the office. It is absolutely a blast. So I think it was a good move for me.
Something that a lot of people, they see the glory in running a car show. In fact, a lot of people want to do their own car show at this scale.
Yeah.
But they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the struggles it takes to put on any level car show, but especially at your level. I think this is one of the most untalked about subjects out there. I always want to talk about it. So tell us a little bit about what it really takes. And I mean, truth raw of what it really takes to put on something this size.
How long did you have scheduled for this live stream? I think, for me stepping in this, I thought I knew what I was getting into, but you never truly know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much involved. I could look at it from 1,000 different perspectives. Take any one of them, the show directory, just putting together a list of vendors and sending it to a printer and get caught. No, this is like 3 weeks of proofs back and forth and changes and, how it's laid out and how it turns out and how you print it and which pages are going to be color and how to stay within budget and, how to get your advertisers and your sponsors covered. So they're getting, a good bang for the buck and getting good information in it so that people actually want to look at it and read it. And it's, be entertaining, but still informative. Golf carts. How many golf carts do you have? Who's going to drive them? Where are they going to be deployed? If I drive by the tent and see 4 or 5 golf carts sitting there, that tells me those are assets that aren't being correctly used somewhere else. We have to, drill and figure out, do we need them? Are they not where they need to be? What needs to happen? I have over 200 volunteers that have to be angled and coordinated. And thank the Lord, some of them are absolutely amazing human beings that just work tirelessly, days on end, putting together schedules and volunteer lists and meeting with vendors and getting things delivered over to the Speedway and making sure that tents get set up in the right, place. Tents. I had no idea how expensive tents are.
Oh,
tents,
wow.
Wow.
it just goes on and on. The amount of money you spend in postage, printing, fences, tents, security. You know, we pay for police officers and EMTs. There's times that it can feel a little overwhelming, and then somehow figure out how to make it all at least close to profitable. You know,
Yes.
we're nonprofit. We're not making a ton of money, but we do need to break even. That is
Right. Yes.
the goal. So it is a huge undertaking. And I knew that from some level, but I certainly didn't know it from all aspects. And I was watching one of your interview. I think your last interview with the gentleman from Clean. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
From Clean Expedition.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I was listening to that interview, and there was a couple times I thought, did he work at Hornets Nest? I mean, some of the challenging things you were talking about. I was like, that's a page right out of my book.
Mm-hmm.
I guess all y'all go through the exact same thing. And in fact, Sam from Clean Expedition, he's even, I think, starting a podcast series, I think, on within the car world of how men don't normally like to talk about the struggles that go on, whether it's car shows, whether it's in life, but I think he's trying to create a whole environment around that whole issue.
Yeah, that's great. That's needed. But every day has unique challenges. Had a gentleman call last week and complained to me for an hour because it was too windy last year.
Oh, and who can help that? Wow.
Well, you know, and I feel for him. He had real concerns, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like some car shows. They don't let you transfer the registrations once you've got it, and people get so mad about it. And they don't understand that if you allow transfers, you get scammers in.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing you know, you've got 3,000 people who bought tickets or bought for their cars, and they're not getting in because they've been scammed and don't even know it.
Right. Or even the logistics of making a change. I mean, last spring we had the Spring National, the Grand National, and the Zenith Award all out in the fan zone, spread over multiple days. We had over 700 cars. And so someone wants to call in, oh, I forgot, it's a week out, you know, I want to get my car registered. Well, packets have gone out, everything's been printed, you know, windshield cards, judging sheets, like that's a 3-hour ordeal to pull all that up and reprint everything.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
Because you wanted to be, you know, slid in the last minute.
Oh, and our media pack ain't come yet, so.
Well, that I haven't sent. That's on purpose.
Okay, gotcha. So what would you say is so far? Because you said you took it over last year. Was the first year, or is this year the first year?
I took it over officially in July. So I have one fall show under my belt, and this will be my first spring. Which spring is really the big show.
Okay, so from what you've learned from the fall show, what did you learn that you could do better for this one?
Oh my gracious, so many things, everything. You know, I got to tell you, Chris, as we've been really coming out of fall and into spring, the team here, which when I say team, we have an amazing team, but counting me, there's 3 of us. So we're, you know, big group. We have huddle ups regularly, but we've started questioning everything. Every bill that comes in, what is this? Do we need it? Can we do it better? Should we be spending more towards it? And it's not just a cost savings thing, but you know, we weren't doing enough on the social media side. So we did a really, really deep dive. And, you know, you and I've talked, we started the YouTube channel the first of the year, which has really been great for us and has been a lot of fun. But as you well know, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Have to really pick and choose where you spend your time, where you spend your money, and what's going to give you the biggest bang for the buck with your vendors and with your spectators. You know, we really serve 3 different groups. We serve our sponsors because they need a bang for their buck. We serve our vendors because they're trying to sell stuff and make a living. And we sell our customer spectators because we need to provide them a nice show to come and enjoy and have a good time and hopefully learn something, get the bug, buy their own project, and jump in with both feet. Like that's the ultimate goal, right? That's how we do this.
Exactly. Now you were talking about a team, as you know, a lot of people, they see you, but they don't really see the team behind you as the front man. And in our opinion, teams never get any love. But on all of our shows we ever do, we always make sure teams get some credit. And I know you talked a little bit about it, but can you go maybe a little more in detail about the team that helps you be who you are?
Oh my goodness, I would love to. I could go on about them for hours. So there's including me, there's three of us here in the office. So I'll start with the office staff. So we have a lady, her name is Debbie, phenomenal human being. She used to be the branch manager of a local bank here. So her customer service skills are absolutely through the roof. She helps keep me in line with finances and getting bills paid and getting reports and leaving sticky notes on my desk, which are super, super helpful. But everyone enjoys talking to her. And then we have a gentleman in here. His name is Mark, and he's been a godsend. I actually put a post on a Facebook page. Just, we have a job opening, any interest? And he shot me a note immediately. He's been a long time car guy, has his own collection of cars. And man, you talking about talking the talk. He loves to talk cars.
Oh, wow.
And super helpful. And people call in. I tell him all the time, I said, man, you could sell ice to an Eskimo. I mean, he just does a phenomenal job on the phone and making sure everybody's taken care of and getting them, what they're going to need and spaces. And he's not afraid to call and, hey, I got this guy that really needs this space. If I move you here, I think it'd actually be better for you. He's like working these deals behind the scenes and just trying to make everybody feels like they're getting the absolute value, which is amazing. And then the rest of the team, which I think to your point get extreme a little bit of love, are the volunteers. I mean, the Hornets Nest is made up. We have it's 250 families. So I think it counted as just short of 500 individuals. And all year long, they're working towards putting these shows on. Most folks are super dedicated. A lot of them have been doing them a really, really long time. Some of them are tired, and that's rightfully so. But even the volunteer, I said something about the volunteer coordination. We've got one gentleman who's on the board, and he spends. I would be afraid to count the hours that he spends herding cats, calling people, emailing people, trying to. When can you come? Well, I can come Friday, but only for half a day, and I normally do this job. Well, let me call this guy and see if he can fill it. And he's writing these schedules for. You figure we have staking day the Saturday before, and then really kind of Monday of the show. That's when it's all out. But vendors start showing up on Wednesday, so that entire week through the weekend, Sunday, Monday cleaning up. So we're talking about a really, really hefty long week of physical work and months of phone calls and emails and spreadsheets and I tell you, the amount of time that these volunteers put in is simply astronomical and should be applauded regularly. And I can't do enough to tell them thank you because it's such a significant part of what puts on this show. And if I had to hire that out, I don't know, maybe we'd have to double the prices to pay for that kind of labor. I don't know.
Wow.
No way I'd be able to make that up. So it's I can tell you for sure, without those volunteers, we would not have a show. They're that important.
Yeah.
Love that. Speaking of teams, we got a third co-host, our 13-year-old.
We do, and he's a big car lover.
So Sandy's going to go get him.
I'll get him.
So
nice.
While we're waiting on him, what's kind of next for the show that you see? I mean, I know this year's already planned, but what are you kind of looking forward to in the future?
So if you've been to AutoFair a long time, you're going to begin to see an evolution of spring and fall. So this show started in 1978 was the first year that we had this show, AutoFair, at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And that was a relationship with Humpy Wheeler and some of the Dennis Carpenter is probably a name that a lot of people will recognize, and some of the other club members that put this together. It was from what I understand, on the pit road, and they just kind of used chalk and marked out spots on the pit road, and that's that was their swap meet. It's grown significantly from that. Fall was added. I don't want to give a date because I'm going to get it wrong, but I'm thinking somewhere in the 80s at the request of the Speedway because they needed something to fill in the gap.
Yeah.
Fall was never as big as spring. So it was always a struggle with vendor participation, with any kind of sponsorship or any that kind of deal, it was always difficult to get a ton of traction in fall, especially compared to spring. So what we're going to do over time is begin to diverge those two shows and make them very different feel.
Okay.
Spring is what I'm going to call the celebration of all things automotive.
Mhm.
You know, it's going to be on the louder side. It's going to be on the entertainment side. Like we're trying to get the attention of larger companies, larger vendors, not taking anything away from our swap meet and small folks.
Yeah.
The overall feel, right? So
Yeah.
things like Elvis and Radwood and, you know, some of those bigger names, right? In the fall, we're calling it back to our roots. So it's in the green field, so it's outside the Speedway. It's a smaller, more intimate feel. It's quieter. It's about the parts. It's about the cars, about negotiating, you know, back to the good old days kind of thing. So over time, we're going to see more and more representation of that.
You know what's funny? What's funny is a lot of the people I know who do spring and fall shows, usually the fall is the bigger one. So it's kind of weird you saying that the spring is the bigger one.
Well, look at our timing. Like everybody's tired of being cooped up. Like right now, just this last weekend was our best weather, right? So everybody's ready to get out and do something. So I think has contributed to the size of the spring show.
And what were you about to say a while ago too?
Oh, and then the third thing is the social media and YouTube content creation. You know, really getting in, learning some of the stories of the cars. We've got 2 videos that just recently dropped about cars that are going to be in the show on April 5th. So being able to tie those threads together and keep people connected for all year long, and it not just be, you know, a spring event, a fall event, but it's a full time, connected and keeping people in the car culture and in the know of what's going on.
Because that's the tough part, you know, with the customized ride. You know, we launched October of 22, and I probably load 3 to 5 videos every day per platform.
Wow.
And so I've done over 10,000 videos in that time. And that's the struggle is, you know, we go to car shows like yours and we get tons of content. And then sometimes people may not see their car for months because I'm laying it out because I don't want to do it all at once. You know, I have to balance it out so that it ain't too much every day. But then at the same time, I need to get it in there because then we get to the next car show and it's like, okay, well, now I got to do that one and this one. And so it's a balancing act.
Further behind.
Sorry.
All right, hey Ken, so what's your favorite car?
Oh my gracious. That changes. So my favorite car used to be and ironically it's a kit car, but an AC Cobra. That was kind of my bucket list ultimate car. Until I went to see one, and the owner said, "Before you go all in, you might want to try to see if you fit in that thing." They're not made for 6'1" people, so it kind of morphed. I just recently, last week, I got to drive a Porsche 911 GT3. My wife got me that as a Christmas gift. So currently, that's my favorite car. But ask me in a month, it'll change.
Because what's your?
Mine is a 1970 Corvette with a big engine on it.
He wants the Pro Street.
Yeah.
There you go. Can't get that. I love those lines. Nice car.
And when you're doing content, make sure you get some Pro Street stuff in there because I'm telling you, people, at least on our platform, what I've noticed is the classics do good, muscle cars do good, but the Pro Streets are what really does. People love to hear them rolling by, especially the surging ones. You know, go woo, woo, woo. You know, I mean, now granted, there's a lot of anti-surge people too. I've noticed, you know, that they hate that sound and say it needs to be tuned, and they don't understand why they're doing it. But for the most part, people just love that.
You know what? I like cars.
Yep, exactly.
I like classics. I like Pro Street. I like rat rods. I like electric. I like them all. I just like cars.
I mean, that's why we named the thing the customized ride so that I could stay generic.
You're not pigeonholed into something.
Somebody posted that they love watching the Hornets Nest videos when they come out.
That happens to be my daughter. Thanks, Maggie.
Yeah, I got one more question. So, what's the most fun part of doing a car show?
It's meeting all the people and having the conversations, honestly.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yes.
You get to see a lot of car shows. What's your favorite?
Yeah. What's my favorite part of doing it? I guess just hang out with all the people and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, like the first year we ever went to a traveling car show was Myrtle Beach in 23 for Run to the Sun.
Yeah.
And we covered that. And then the next year when we did Run to the Sun, these guys were like, were y'all here filming last year? So I guess because we're father and son, people recognize that.
Yeah. Very cool.
And now he does his own channel. I mean, not just we don't just do my channel together, but he also has one called Hot Classic Rides.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
So what would you say that you learned what did you learn about yourself in this role?
That's a great question. I'm not sure the best way to answer that. I have always, and I've known this about myself for a long time, but I've always been a workaholic. And what I have learned is, because I enjoy cars as a hobby and also as a profession, is not to let that overtake so that I end up hating the thing that I love, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you have to separate the business from the car to some degree so that you can still enjoy the car when it's time for car show, you know.
Yeah, because that's the issue I've run into too. Because with filming, I got to be focused.
Yeah.
So although it sounds good, I get to see all the cars. I'm so focused until I don't get to just sit there and like, wow. Yeah. It's like I have to, because I don't want to miss the next shot, or next one.
Right,
so
right.
Like, and then sometimes me and him are like running across. We hear something. We got to run that way, then run this way. And people probably like, what are they doing? Because I film everything just on my phone. And so people are probably, we don't like carrying cameras. So people are probably like, what are they running for?
People are used to it now. They're used to seeing phones.
So what would you say, this is more of a vulnerable question, but what would you say that when you first took this role, do you feel there's any area that you weren't ready for, but you made yourself ready?
I'm going to say no, and that's not an arrogant.
Yeah.
As I came into it, I knew I didn't know much about how to put on. I never put on a show.
Yeah.
Done a lot with logistics. Done a lot with safety and planning and teams and business side, but I had not put on a show. So I think the fact that I was coming into it so open and recognizing that almost everything I was going to come across on a daily basis was brand new. I had to learn it all. So there was nothing that had to be unlearned, if that makes sense.
I love that, because they always say it's a lot easier to teach someone who don't know nothing than it is to reteach someone.
Right. Well, now the hard part is making sure that I don't teach myself bad habits. Right. I'm trying to make sure that we're making the right decisions. And we continue to do that.
Yeah, because although I've never played golf, but I hear that if you got a bad habit with a golf swing, when a pro comes on to help you, it's really difficult.
Right. Well, it's like practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So.
Love that. So as you look to the future, where do you want to see the ultimate, not just in a couple of years, but say 10 years from down the road?
I want to see AutoFair as the premier celebration of all things automotive. That it's a week-long event. There's something for absolutely everyone. The casual observer, all the way down to the hardcore person that's looking to, restore their classic vehicle. I want it to be the keystone event that when people think about the collector car hobby, and I use that word very carefully, collector car hobby, that AutoFair is what they think of. That is my long-term goal.
I love that. Where are you? Do you want to all still be part of that in 10 years, or do you think that you'll be eventually bailing out, or is this just the rest of your life thing?
I have no plan B. So as long as we're having fun, let's do this.
So what got you involved in cars? How did that process start?
You know, I really have no idea other than just, as a kid tinkering with stuff, I've always been gear minded, mechanical. Now I've torn more stuff up than I've fixed, but enjoyed the process of learning. I bought, and actually in the directory, there's an article about my wife's 1974 F100.
Oh,
We
wow.
bought that truck for $1, and it was worth every penny. I honestly didn't really even know how to change oil in the vehicle, and took on a 4-year restoration process. Didn't intend to, but that's what it ended up being, and learned a whole lot about vehicles because I figured, well, I paid $1 for it, I can't break it, right? So not a whole lot at risk. But watched a lot of YouTube videos, bought a lot of books, talked to a lot of people, and got a lot of help on turning that thing in from what was headed to the scrapyard. It was literally chained to the back of a tractor. It was going to the scrapyard into actually it's an award-winning show truck now.
Love that. So let's look way down the road. You kind of fully retired and all that. What do you hope you never forget along this journey while you get there?
I'm going to give you the corny answer because it's the truth, but all the people I've met and all the friends that I've made. I've made some amazing friends in the last 6 months that just have giant hearts for other people and this hobby. So no matter what else happens, I hope to maintain those.
Love that. So as we close out here, what advice would you give that person that wants to do what you do?
Find something else? No. No, really find your niche, find a group, build slowly with that group. I would not go in blind and start looking for space, giant space to rent and giant overhead. Start with the lowest overhead you possibly can, get a group of friends, and do something you enjoy doing and let it grow naturally. Otherwise, it will own you in very short order.
I love that. That is really a great advice. I think that's perfect advice for no matter what business you're in. So as we close out here, stay on here after I go. But thanks everybody for tuning in to the Customized Rod. We hope today's story inspired you to keep building, to keep creating, to keep fueling your own passion within the custom car world, because that's why we do this. We want to make sure that we keep the custom car world alive. We don't want it to die like some people want it to. We want this thing to keep going so that his generation and then his kids' generation can keep this thing flourishing for 100 more years.
Right.
So in the meantime, wait till the next one. We got another one coming. So thank you all for watching, and we look forward to seeing you at the next car show.